Hello, everyone. I am just about a minute early, but I hate coming into these classes where you have to refresh over and over and hope that they get there. So I thought I would come in just a minute early, and I'm getting things set up on my end. I am super excited to be here today. As I wait just a minute for people to jump on, let me just tell you what happened like 5 minutes before I got on. So I'm getting all my stuff together in my head on, just getting everything mentally ready to go. Get a knock on the door. I go to answer. It's a neighbor, and he says, "Hi, I live 4 houses down, and I found this in my backyard." Guys, it was a car seat. One of my kids apparently took their car seat out of the car, took it like 4 houses down to a neighbor's, and I don't know, hung out in it. Yes, that's mine. Thank you. The sad thing is he knew to come to my house, probably because I have all the kids playing out front. Um, so that happened. Slightly embarrassing, but I just told him thanks, and he went on his way. So that's what I was doing right before the live started. Okay, let's get started. I am so excited that you're here. Um, Today's class, what I want to make sure you go away with is some tips, tricks, hacks all around living a natural lifestyle, how to get toxins out of your environment as much as possible, and how to do it without breaking the bank. Like, guys, this stuff can be expensive trying to find all natural, organic products. And it can be really overwhelming. And I don't want you to leave here overwhelmed. I want to give you doable changes that you can make. I also, let me put this down here. So if you want to go grab it, you can. There is a class guide, and you can find it from this link. It kind of follows along with today's class. It's not necessary, but you do want to make sure you download it and get a copy of it once the class is over so that you can go back and get this information. We're going to go through a lot today. Don't worry about missing it. There was going to be a replay. If you're catching us on the replay, if you're watching the replay, thank you so much for taking the time to do that. Ultimately, I want you to leave today with a firm foundation of everyday environmental toxins and how they impact our health, our fertility, and just our day-to-day bodies and how we feel. So what do we expect from today? I want you to know what the layout is. First, we're going to dive in straight to the teaching. What's the point of today? Learning about toxins, seeing how it connects to our fertility in our body. You did just get the link for the guide. I also am going to offer free 15 slots for complimentary 20-minute coaching calls with me. So if you are feeling like, oh my goodness, this is way over my head, or I really need someone to bounce ideas off of, then I've gone ahead and created 15 slots where I'm going to take some private coaching one-on-one to really get to the bottom of this stuff. So if you're feeling really overwhelmed, just know, okay, I'm going to just chill, I'm going to listen, and I'll make my next steps moving forward. Finally, kind of as a bonus, I'm planning on having this class wrap up within an hour. However, Kelly sent me a message and wanted to know, look, I've done this toxin thing before, but I don't know, can you show me some examples of products that you have around your house? Like, it's just too much. And so as an extra bonus, at the end of the class, I literally went around my house and picked out some of my top things that I use. And I'm just going to do a little show and tell and be like, this is what I use and why, and set it aside. So that'll be at the very end. So I want to know why you're here today. Will you put in the comments and tell me, this is what I'm hoping to gain out of this class? I want this to be interactive. I'm using StreamYard, and so as I talk to you, I have to switch over to see comments, but know that I'm going to be doing that. Any questions you have, I want this to really feel like a community and that it's not just me sitting here preaching to you. Here's some things that I think have brought you here. Let me know if any of these ring a bell or put in your own reasons. So maybe you're aware that toxins are in the environment, but you're not really sure what to do about it. Maybe you're sick and tired of all the bad stuff, but you're super overwhelmed with the price tag of the good stuff. That's me. Even now, I still get a little price tag freaked. You've heard about the importance of toxin-free living, and you're curious, but you really don't know where to begin. Maybe you've started to make a few changes in your diet and your food, but product-wise, you're still using the conventional like kitchen counter cleaner. And that's totally cool. It may not be cool, but it's totally cool that you're here, and I'm so excited that you're here. You've been making changes, but you're still not feeling good. Maybe you're still having the occasional or constant headache. Maybe you're still having sensitivities to products you're using. Maybe you're still having the brain fog and just the yuck that you feel. And you're looking for, why is this happening when I'm trying to make changes and I'm not feeling better? And then maybe you're here because of the word fertility. Maybe that really caught your interest. Like, oh, wait, toxins have a connection to my fertility that I need to learn more about. So I love that some people are coming in. So I'm going to just share a few. Hopefully that's okay. Maddie says she wants to learn what products may be harmful and what to look out for. Also to know why these ingredients are harmful. Yeah. Melissa is concerned with estrogen disruptors for my daughters. Yeah, I'm going to touch on that because that's a big, big part of why we need to watch toxins in our environment. And then in the guide that I created to go with this masterclass, there's actually a whole page on endocrine disruptors and hormone disruptors, estrogen, things that mimic our hormones but aren't really. There's a whole page in the guide on that, so you want to make sure that you grab that to get that. Claudia says she has no idea where to begin. Yeah, girl, I was there too. And Katie, I have difficulties with migraines and super sensitive skin. Yes, that sounds like where I was at a few years ago. I never know where to start. I recently started using Young Living essential oils, and I want to know what you think of them. Girl, I love oils. Oils are good. We can definitely, there's a whole big thing about what oils do I use, what don't I use. If you are finding good quality brands and you're happy with it, then I think that's awesome. Okay, so if you haven't yet and you're watching live, tell me why you're here today. While we're doing that, I want to tell you a little bit about me in case you don't know. And I also want to know about you. So tell me, after you told me why you're here, where are you located? Where in the US or world are you coming from? So if you don't know, I'm Chava Brooke Hall. I'm a fertility awareness educator and coach. I'm also a certified doula and childbirth educator. The doula stuff is what got me into women's health initially, and then I transitioned over to more of the health coaching and fertility awareness world. My most exciting newest thing is that I am currently going through Aviva Ram's Herbal Medicine for Women course. So at the end of, oh my goodness, what are we going into? We're going into 2021. After 2021, the beginning of 2022, I'll be able to sit for all my exams and be able to add community herbalist and educator to my repertoire. And I'm so excited. And that's actually why I'm bringing this class to you, is because we are taking a deep dive in that course all around stress, fertility, and toxins. And it's such an important thing to get a handle on. And I wanted you guys to know it. I also have an undergrad in psychology and an emphasis in social work and group dynamics. I currently live in Indianapolis with my husband and 5 kids. We live on 1 acre, kind of on the outskirts of town, and we have about a dozen ducks and chickens. So that's kind of a snapshot into my life. I'm going to go over to the comments and see. Katie is in Wichita. Renata is in Ohio. Melissa says she loves Aviva Ram. I do too. Amanda says her own reasons for fertility, but also for my clients who may ask about this. I have no idea where to start making changes. Yeah, for those of us who are working in women's health, in women's space, this is a really big topic, and we have to know how to help them, but first we have to be able to help ourselves. And so I totally get that. And Anne's coming from Iowa. Awesome. Okay. So let's break down maybe 2 of the main things I hear women say. And this might help too if you're working with women in this space. If you have sisters, cousins, and you friends, and you guys are talking about this and toxins, there's kind of 1 of 2 thoughts that come into your mind. One is, what? Yeah, I sort of know what you're talking about, but not really. Like, there is such a thing as organic and natural, but nowadays everything's natural, so I don't know. Or number 2 is, yeah, I looked into this. It's so bad. It's so freaking scary. I just gotta go put my head in the sand and hope that I make it out alive in the next year. I mean, aside from all the world stuff that's happening, but from all of the toxins that I can't seem to get rid of. Tell me, which one of those do you relate to the most? Are you kind of really new to this whole process, but don't really know where to start? Or are you more number 2 of like, I tried to research this, but I am so freaking overwhelmed and this is crazy and it's so bad and I'm just gonna have a meltdown and cry, because I've been there. That's where I was. So tell me which one of those speaks to you the most. Here's the thing. We're going to talk a lot today about a lot of different areas, and I'm going to try and compartmentalize so that it gets easier. But here's what I don't want. We tend to have this little voice in our head telling us when we're doing it all wrong. I don't want you reading this class thinking, I'm doing it all wrong, or there's no way I can even start because it's just overwhelming. So here is what I want you to do. If you start to feel these ways, I want you to stop these thoughts. The thought of, if I just cared more, fill in the blank. If I just cared more, I'd make more time for this, and I wouldn't be putting my kids into bathwater that's killing them. Or if I weren't so lazy, like if I could just get up and go to the store and look through the grocery aisle and not freak out because I have to have all the extra stuff that I need to now to go to the store. If I just weren't so lazy, fill in the blank. There's no room for that here. If I just had more money. So this happens a lot, right? If we think, if I just had more money, I could get all of this stuff. But guys, I'm here to tell you, I did not have this much money, or I still don't have very much money, but I really didn't have very much money when I started this journey. And it's all about the little changes. And I'm gonna go through, after we kind of talk about overarching ideas, we're gonna spend some time on what can I do now? And one of those areas is, what if I don't have a lot of money to spend on this? What can I do now to make a difference? And the last thought I want you to take out of your head is this: oh my gosh, all I've been doing is killing myself and all the people I care about. There's no point, it's too late. Because I have that I've had that thought. And even while doing some of Aviva Ram's course and some of my own research and preparation for this, I'm like, it's so bad. But we're going to put that aside. And we're going to just take in information. If you're feeling overwhelmed, overloaded, get the guide that I talked about. Also, there's a replay. You can rewatch this because I know you love spending time with me. So why not do it again? And then you're going to get that opportunity to get one of those coaching calls if you really want to dive into this topic more. So I have some comments coming in. I am excited to look at those, but I'm going to stay on track here, and then maybe we'll backtrack into comments because I want you to feel like you're getting the most out of this class. I'm not just here to tell you stop using candles and then spend the rest of the time like pitching something. That's not what today is about. Today is about you and getting the information you need. So I want to know the answer to this question. When was the last time, if ever, you picked up a product and you felt good about using it? Like you looked at it, you turned it over, like here, I have my example. These are I have all my stuff sitting over here for our show and tell after. You turned it over, you were able to read all of the ingredients on the back, and they all sounded good to you. You knew it was safe. I want you to tell me what those products are. Even if you're like, I know there could be better ones, but this is definitely better than mainstream. Put those in the comments because we're all learning. And I bet there's something someone in here can teach me that I don't already know. And we definitely can help teach each other. So tell us, what is the products that you feel safe about? Here's the thing. What we're going to talk about today is a whole lifestyle approach. As we're working through today's class, I want you to just, at times, to stop all of the mind stuff. I want you to stop. I want you to pause. And I want you to reflect on where you are right now. We need to accept where we are right now without judgment in order to really be able to make change and see growth. I want you to start thinking about this idea of should versus could. Okay? This is where some of the mindset stuff comes in. And you might be thinking, Hava, we're talking about toxins. Why are you bringing up mindset? Because when we're talking about lifestyle changes, we first have to get our head screwed on right so that we can really make those changes and see change happen. At the very end of today's, well, not at the very end, but later after I teach about some of the specifics, I'm going to dive in a little bit more into this should versus could, but I thought it was really important to put it up here at the front so that as we're working through the class, don't get overwhelmed and try to ask yourself these questions. Could I do this? Could I make this change? Versus, oh, I should already be doing this. Oh, I already knew about this like 3 years ago and I'm still not. I should be doing this, but because guys, there's a difference in energy between these two words. And I'm going to stop because I get real excited about mindset. So I'm going to stop talking about the shoulds versus coulds and talk about that later. But tell me, as we're starting, is there already a should in your head? Put it in the comments. Maybe it's something else that someone else is feeling like, I should not have to be at this class because I should already have the information I need. I should stop, drinking out of my plastic water bottle. I mean, this one's glass, but if you have a plastic water bottle sitting next to you and you're like drinking, and then we start talking about plastics and you're like, oh crap, I should not be doing that. I just want us to focus on the coulds today and see what comes from it. Okay, So let's dive in. I'm going to look at comments just really quick and make sure that there's nothing that kind of came up. This is really good, guys. I love all of the things that we're putting in for helps. This is going to be an awesome class. I'm so excited to go back and read all of your comments. Okay, so when we start thinking about all the things we need to replace, I don't know about you, but I'm like, oh crap. Now what? I think it's important to start with our bodies. I think it's important to understand that our bodies are actually built with their own detox system built in. So who here has heard about detoxing and cleanses and juices and all the things that you should be doing to clean out all those toxins? I know I have. But here's the thing. We actually have our own detox system. It's multifaceted, but for the most part, it includes our liver, our gut, and our digestive bowel system. It is possible that your system is not working as well as it could be because there's something called toxin overload. This is where everything in your environment is crushing down on you. You're starting to feel the weight of all of it, and you are in complete toxin overload. Your liver isn't able to do what it needs to do. Your gut is not able to protect. Your gut has a barrier to it that things that you take into your system that you're eating can't go outside of that gut and get into like your bloodstream and other parts of your body. But who's heard of this idea of a leaky gut? It's where your gut used to be really strong, but it's actually started to kind of separate and open up. And so those barriers and gates aren't as strong as they once were. And then ultimately, having a bowel movement once a day is crucial to help you getting those toxins out. I don't want to spend really any more time on this idea of how to support the liver, the gut, and bowels, because that's what the coaching calls for. Those calls that I mentioned at the beginning, if you want to dive deep, this might be an area that you really want to touch on. Like, how can I support my liver? What does that mean? Can I add in dandelion or chamomile tea? Will that really help? Or I'm not having a bowel movement once a day. Like it's every other day. Maybe leafy greens, flax, like magnesium. What can we do to really target some of these things that we're seeing that's keeping our system from doing what it's meant to do? And y'all know that I am all about the body doing what it's supposed to do without hindrance. So this brings us to the why. Why is it important that we worry about toxins? And I don't even like using that word worry. Like I said, worry, but I don't want you to worry in such a way that it overtakes your thinking, because I think that's what hinders us from taking small changes and steps forward is the worry. We know that stress impacts us, right? When we are stressed out, our moods are affected, our productivity is affected, our relationships are affected, and maybe you even start to see that stress in your body. Like maybe you get canker sores or you get breakouts, you have achy joints, or you just like are in complete overdrive. It's the same thing with our bodies. They get stressed too. That stress, for the most part, is coming from external environmental toxins. The more we can reduce what we're being exposed to, the less stress our body has, and the more able our body is to fight off those things that do come its way. So tell me how you're doing so far. Is any of this resonating with you? I want to know. And let's really dive into the nitty-gritty of why we're here today. So I like to break down toxins into 3 categories. And this is in the guide as well that you can download. The 3 categories of toxins are those that are around us, like fragrances that we can smell that are around, things that are on us. Renata in the comments mentioned sunscreen. So that's an example of something that would be on us. And then things that are in us. When we think about in us, it's the things that we're eating and actually putting into our system. Remember that just getting started, that's the hardest. Once you get started, it gets easier. And so as we go through these 3 categories today, this is the way that we're breaking it down. What's around us, what's in us, and what's on us. If this is something completely new to you, I want you to choose one category to start working through. The other things, listen to the information, let it go in, because maybe there's an easy change you can make there, but don't get overwhelmed with all of these, okay? So let's start with number 1, things that are around us. So these are things that are in our environment, such as cleaning supplies, air fresheners, or artificial fragrances, anything that you can smell that's not natural from like an essential oil. So I have my diffuser going back there, and that has peppermint in it. So I can smell that. That's different than if you were to open up a candle and smell that. If you can smell it and it's overpowering or really strong, it's probably has toxins in the ingredients that's helping you to smell, and it's not very good. The other thing that can be in our environment around us, that's a big one, is plastics. Like almost everything comes in plastic. And so when I start to talk about the plastics, I don't want you to freak out because I know what it's like to look around and have plastic everywhere. And thankfully, that's not the case for our family much anymore, but it still is an issue. So plastics, we've all heard of this idea of BPA free or BPA. And now almost every product out there is BPA free. But here's the thing. Just because we know that research shows us that BPA is an endocrine disruptor, which is something that, I can't remember. Someone mentioned earlier, they're worried about all of the exposure to false estrogens, that it's phytoestrogens, false estrogens that your body or your daughters are being exposed to. A lot of it comes from plastics. And even when it's saying BPA free, the ways that the molecules are put together in anything that has that same look as plastic is still not good for you. Endocrine disruptors, and like I said, there's a whole section in the guide. So I don't want to go into a lot of details here. I was going to get the guide and go into details, but I'm not. I'm going to stop myself, stay on track. They affect things like PMS, heavy menstrual period, infertility, cancer. Like all of these things are proven by scientific studies showing that endocrine disruptors really are a problem. Have you ever noticed that plastic water bottles have an expiration date? It's like, it's just water. Water doesn't go bad. Here's why. Because it's not about the water that's hitting an expiration date. It's about the bottle. So at that expiration date point, they determined that the leaching of the plastics or the container, all of the chemicals that are making that strong container are starting to leach into the water. And if you were to drink that water, you're now getting high levels of BPA or toxins into your system that the Food and Drug Administration says this is no good. We actually excel that breakdown of that plastic if we have those bottles out in the car or in the sun. So heating plastics is a way to accelerate that expiration date. So this is why I'm a huge component of glass containers. You don't have to go out right now and replace all of your plastic with glass. But as things start to get used up, then start to look for more glass options. One of the first places to look or to think about eliminating is Tupperware, the plastic that you're storing food in, or if you're heating food, or if you're microwaving, or even putting plastic in dishwashers. That's heating it. That's going to reduce its lifespan of how quickly all of that junk, all of those chemicals are going to leach into your food. I have a whole list in the guide of 10 ways to reduce endocrine disruptors, hormone disruptors, BPA from your environment. So I encourage you, if this is an area that is overwhelming to you, get the guide, look through the list of 10 things, choose one or two, and then schedule that complimentary bonus coaching call that I've set aside. And we'll really dive into one or two of those areas to see if we can get some plans moving forward. Next, let's move to what is in us. So this is where we start to see how our gut and our liver are doing those detoxing that we need it to do. Is it doing it well? And are we giving it the nutrients and the tools it needs in order to make sure our natural detox system is working for us? When I think of things that are going in us, I automatically think of food. And I imagine that that's what you're thinking too. So we know that high levels of pesticides, herbicides, anything that's going to kill bugs is also not good for humans, for us to be eating. And I know, you're like, Hava, you're just going to tell me to get all organic, but do you know how stinking expensive it is to get organic? Like, yes, I know. So here's where I say to start. The Environmental Working Group has a website, and it's an awesome website. It's one of the resources in the guide. But they have a specific list called the Dirty Dozen, and they also have the Clean 15. So the Dirty Dozen are 12 fruits and vegetables, and they update their list every season, which is really great and helpful because sometimes the products change that's on there. But basically, the Dirty Dozen are the ones that have to use the highest level of pesticides or herbicides or some type of side to keep the bugs away. And so if you're going to be shopping organic and you can't do everything organic, keep the Dirty Dozen either off your list or get organic of those produce and products. The other side of that is the Clean 15. And here's one that I didn't know about, that there's actually produce, fruits and vegetables that are on the clean list, meaning you don't have to necessarily spend your money on organic for these products, these produce, and feel good about serving it to yourself and to your family. Because by default, you don't have to use a lot of pesticides or herbicides or whatever on these in order to help them grow, but also to keep the bugs away. And so I, for a long time, took these lists of Dirty Dozen and Clean 15 with me to the store so that I could make sure I was making the right choices and spending money where I needed to and keeping costs down where I could. The other thing I want you to consider is spices. And I actually, when I first started this journey of clean living and toxic-free lifestyle, I got really freaked out about my spices because there's a lot of information on it. One, the majority of them come in plastic, and even some of the organic brands are in plastic. So here's what I started to do to watch my spices. Because I don't know about you, but if you cook a lot, you use a lot of spices. I cook a lot, so I use a lot of spices. As I ran out of my regular oregano, that was in its plastic jar, I'm sure, that was not organic. It was probably a name brand or a store brand, cheap one. Then I replaced that one bottle with glass in a good product that I could trust, that was an organic product. And I just did that slowly. And so, yes, it is more expensive to buy the glass organic spice than it is the store brand plastic one, but it's worth it because our spices, herbs to keep bugs away, a lot of times really need a lot of herbicide and treatments done to them. And so it's an area that it's worth spending a little bit extra money on to make sure you're not getting those high level of herbicides in your food. Let's stop on food for now because we could spend our whole talk just talking about food. And let's transition. We're still on the topic of what's going in us, but let's talk about medications and supplements. So there are really good quality supplements, but unfortunately, not all supplements are created equal. And I know it's a bummer because if you're right now using some type of supplement to help you feel better, then you want it to help you feel better. But it's really important to trust the brands you're using. And in the guide that I created, there is a resource. Aviva Ram's site is really good at this. She has a supplement site, and it'll take you to show you which brands are trusted in her world, and it's a really good place to start. The other thing to know that can impact your gut and how your body is cleaning out all of the toxins that are coming in is antibiotics. So here's the thing: I am in no means saying don't take antibiotics or don't take medications that the doctor has prescribed. If you need medications the doctor prescribed, then take it. What you need to know, though, is that they can disrupt your gut and your body's ability to break down and remove toxins. And there are ways to prepare your body for that. So if you know you're taking an antibiotic to get rid of something, an infection or bacteria, whatever, adding in a good probiotic is really helpful. Also, just being aware that I need to support my liver during this time. How can I support my liver? You can do it using like dandelion tea or dandelion greens, chamomile. You can use what's called bitters. So this is in the herbal world, things that if you were to taste it plain, like a dandelion green, it's like, oh, I don't want that. And so a lot of times it's masked with other things in a tea or something. But this is a time where you just are preparing yourself to help your body get better, but also to support the systems that aren't necessarily being impacted. Finally, and you know that I'm not going to end a discussion without talking a minute about hormonal birth control. So hormonal birth control, whether you're using the pill or shot or even the IUD, is going to make your body, it's going to make it harder for your body to fight off and eliminate toxins. Part of the reason is because it completely shuts down your reproductive system and it starts putting in some of those false estrogens and things that your body is reading as, oh, this is estrogen, this is progesterone, but it's not actually your body producing that. And we know that ovulation is a sign of health, meaning if you are ovulating, and you're not ovulating if you're on some type of hormonal birth control, if you are ovulating, your body talks to you. And ovulation has been called the fifth vital sign, meaning it's as important as when you go to the doctor and you get your blood pressure checked or you get your temperature checked, or many of the other normal, checks that your doctor is doing. Ovulation, your menstrual cycle, is just as important, especially for women, telling you, what is my body trying to say to me? And that's part of what I do in the program I offer, is we're doing some of this health coaching where we're looking at what part of your life are you wanting to change. So example, we're hitting fertility, or we're hitting toxins and my environment. We have to have a baseline for knowing the goals that we're implementing, the changes we're making. Is it actually making a change for me? And we don't know that unless we know what the baseline is. Your menstrual cycle from the start of your period to the end of your next period, and finding out when ovulation is, tracking PMS symptoms, signs, are all ways that we're going to know, is it really helping that I removed the sunscreen? Before we got on this call, I got a message from a client of mine who said, I'm so excited about the class today, but I wanted you to know that I have really fair skin and I've been using sunscreen every day to help my skin. And my husband just mentioned to me that sunscreen can actually be a hormone, an estrogen disruptor. And so I stopped, and now I'm looking for different types of sunscreen, which coconut oil has its own sun protector, and there are some good, like Badger, I think is a brand. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. There are good sunscreen options. But the cool thing is, I don't know if it's cool, but she said, once I made the switch, I'm already seeing changes in my cycle. So this is someone I'm already working with. And so she knows her baseline pattern. She knows what's normal for her. And she's already seeing changes just by taking this sunscreen out and replacing it with a different option. And that's the really awesome thing about having a baseline of what we're basing our health on, is that you know the choices that you're making, the money you're spending, the stress and overwhelm you might be feeling when making what is my next best step choice, that you really are making good ones. Okay, so finally, let's talk about products that go on us, which I got a little ahead of myself because the sunscreen does actually go on that list of products that go on us. But also think about things like shampoo and soap and conditioners. Anything that's going to go on you. Makeup is a big one. Makeup's a really bad one, actually. And now that is an area where it does cost comparatively for, CoverGirl versus a really good quality makeup. That can be expensive. But again, and we're going to talk about this on the list of hows to do it. Guys, don't stress and go make a change right now. Unless you just can and change everything, that's awesome. All you have to do is make one change at a time. As soon as one product either expires or is done with, then choose to make a better option for that one product. You also won't be overwhelmed trying to Google all of the things. You'll just have the one thing in mind that you're trying to make a change with. There's also, for things that go on us, there is apps and websites. So the Working Environmental Group is a really good one. There's also an app called Think Dirty. This literally is an app that you put on your phone, and you take it and you scan a product, any product that you have, and you scan the label, the barcode, and it'll pop up for you a rating from, I think it's A to F. Is this product good for me or not? It's a little addictive if you download this app. Like, I remember when I first downloaded, I literally was going around scanning everything, and I probably wasted like 3 hours. But for me, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's an F. Like, that's got to go. So even though it wasn't a product that was completely gone, I was willing to sacrifice that money, like throw that out to get a better product. But if it was like at a C, when I first started, I'm like, all right, that's fine. I'm going to leave that one. So that's an awesome resource. The last thing I want to talk about in regards to specifics of what's going on us is deodorant. I just switched over to the comments really quick because I want to make sure that there's nothing really pressing. Okay, so I don't see anything. I'm going to go back. Okay. So the last thing I want to talk about is deodorant. And I actually brought deodorants as part of my show and tell. So I'm not going to, well, I'm going to like show it now. but we'll talk about it at the end for those of you who want to stick around and see some of my things that I use. Deodorant is really bad because a lot of deodorant has aluminum in it. That is a straight toxin that your body does not need to be exposed to. Here's the thing. Most of us, when we are getting deodorants, we're getting antiperspirant, meaning, gosh, just sweat a lot. And not only am I sweating, I'm smelling. And so you're using your deodorant so as not to sweat. Here's the thing. Under your armpit, you have pores. The reason you're sweating is because it's trying to get junk out. Your pores in your armpit are a part of that natural body detox system that we have. When you're using mainstream deodorant, the reason you're not smelling anything and the reason you're not sweating is because you're clogging those pores in your body. It's really bad. And so let me take a minute. I want to tell you, when I first started this journey, I tend to go all in and then I have to pull myself back. So I decided in doing the research, I'm going to stop using deodorant and I'm going to stop using shampoo, like cold turkey. And that is such a thing where people don't use deodorant and they don't use shampoo. And I'm like, that's me. I'm going to just stop. So let me tell you about the deodorant switch. Here's what a lot of times people don't understand. As they make a switch from mainstream deodorant to a non-toxic version, you may think, holy cow, this deodorant is not working. This is horrible. It is working. The thing is, your pores are actually having the opportunity to open up. And so you can expect when you go on this journey of switching from a mainstream brand of deodorant to a non-toxic option, you have to allow yourself 2 or 3 weeks to go through the process for your body to detox everything that's built up in your armpit pores. This is something we all should have done when Corona first hit and we all had to what's the word? Sequester? That's not how you say it. We all had to be stuck inside and we couldn't leave. We all should have got on the deodorant switch kick because nobody would have smelled us, and so it would have been great. The other thing that people run up against when they are changing deodorants is when you're looking at natural options, a lot of them are made with baking soda. And some women, including myself, are really sensitive to baking soda. So when I first made the switch and I thought, I'm doing something great, I'm going to stop the regular deodorant. And then when I'm like, this isn't working for me, I smell horrible, I have to put something on, I switched to a natural option that had baking soda. And I actually broke out in a lot of rashing. And I contacted the company and they said, yeah, you're sensitive to baking soda. It happens. You need to get a non-baking soda option. I just want you to know that going in because I wasn't the only one with that issue. I looked on some, whatever. So if you make a switch, don't freak out that the deodorant's not working. You're going to smell for a few days or a week or two. But also know if you start to get itchy or break out, you might be using a deodorant. It's not toxic. Baking soda is fine for you. You just may be more sensitive to it. Okay, so now let's talk about what can I do? So I know this is I've thrown a lot at you and the guide has more, but I want to talk about, okay, we've talked about some things. I plan to stick around at the end to see what you're using, Chava, because it's always cool to see what somebody else is using in their house. But what in the world am I going to do? And this is kind of the process that I work with too when I'm coaching women. And so this is kind of an example of what, if you claim one of those spots for a 20-minute coaching session, we're going to kind of go through some of this together. But the first thing you're going to do is you're going to start small. We've talked about it a few times. Don't freak out about, I have to change everything now. Choose one area, okay? Whether it's things that go on me, that are around me, or go in me, and focus on that. And then even within that chunk, don't go changing everything at once. Wait until you run out of the product you currently have in your house, and then choose a better, greener option. Here's the thing, guys. There's always a better option. Like, there's an order. There's mainstream, but you also need to know that in almost every grocery store now, on the counter, in the aisle, you can find a better, more natural option than mainstream. Okay. Then going from that, you can then go on to the do it yourself option or do some Googling and find even better rated things. But don't freak out when you first start. Just choose one step better than what you're currently at. Okay? Starting small. Number 2, get moving and sweating. So this comes back to the deodorant thing. If you're not sweating because you're using antiperspirant, stop that because you're hindering your body from doing the work it needs to do. But even more, you want to be sweating more. Excuse me. The more we sweat, the more our pores can push all that stuff out. And one way to do that is exercising, right? You're going to feel better and you also are just going to start sweating more. Here's the thing about exercise. If you're right now in toxic overload and you're feeling really bogged down and just, I can't do this, you may not actually be ready to start that exercise portion of it yet. You may need to get a few other things in line so that you have enough energy to start that exercise. The other thing you can do if you're like, I'm too exhausted right now, and I get it, take a hot shower. They make these body brushes. I should have brought one down. I didn't think about it. And it's a brush scrubber. And you use it before that you actually start the shower. You get all that dead skin off and it kind of opens your pores. And then you turn your shower on hot and you take your shower and it helps to release any of those toxins that are being held in. And it's a great stress reducer. Speaking of stress reducer, the next thing is we need to manage stress. Stress management is going to reduce the overall cortisol levels in your body, and it's going to allow your body to naturally detox. Here's the thing. If you are so stressed out that you are in constant fight or flight, meaning you're either overwhelmed or completely shut down, your body doesn't have time to do its natural detoxing because it's just trying to keep you alive. Our bodies, when we have major levels of cortisol running, it actually interprets that as we are about to die and I have to save you. In order to save you, I have to shut down all non-essential systems. The detoxing system is non-essential when you're dying. But the problem is the majority of us aren't actually dying. We're just way overstressed. So that is a huge part of working with the women that I do is figuring out how can we manage that stress. And so if you think, I can't even start with the toxin stuff yet, I'm so overloaded, you probably need to spend a few minutes, but you need to spend some time on helping to de-stress your body. Number 4, this one's pretty easy. Increase your water intake. Start drinking more water in a glass bottle or a stainless steel water bottle. The more you drink, the more you pee. Just like pooping helps you to eliminate toxins, peeing does too. So the more you're taking into your body, the more you're going to eliminate out. And then finally, sleep, which I know most of us here, we're women, we're moms, we're wives, and we're like, what the heck? What am I going to find time to sleep? I get it. But sleep is super important. You need to be getting a minimum of 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night in order to help your body effectively detox. A lot of the liver function, a lot of things that happen in order for our bodies to do what it's naturally meant to do, happen during that sleep time when we shut everything down. And so if you're not getting adequate sleep, if you're not getting yourself to bed and getting a good 7 to 8 hours, your body can't detox itself. So in some ways, yes, it will matter if you make a small change and you start switching to other products. But in the end, you're not going to feel good. You're not going to feel better until you've made sleep a priority. And so sometimes I tell women, let's not worry about the toxins yet. Let's get your sleep under control. And then we can start making small changes or just make that one small change like we talked about. And if you're already doing that and it's working, pick another one of these 5 areas we discussed to really be the focal point. Okay, So I said that I wanted to talk just slowly about, or briefly, about this mindset of should versus could. I don't know about you, but when I think of the word should, like, I literally need to take a deep breath because that feels really constricting. When I start thinking about should, it's about obligation and expectation. It's either obligations that I've placed on myself or expectations that someone else has placed on me. And that just feels really boxed in and like I can't move. The overwhelm is too big. These ideas of I'm just killing my family, I'm killing myself, nothing is working. A lot of that is because I'm thinking, I should be doing this. Why is this so hard? I should be making these changes. But what if we flip the script and we focus on could? Could, like when I take a breath, I actually feel like I'm expanding. Could is a question of possibility. What is possible in this moment? If I make one or two small changes, I could see big results. And here's the thing too, my goals in this toxic living lifestyle, they're going to be different than your goals. But neither one of them is bigger than the other. I may be slightly further along the journey than you are, and I'm sure someone on this call is further along than me. But none of our bigs, none of our goals are too small because they're big to us. It's just plain silly to compare ourselves to someone else and think, my goal's so small, I don't even want to start. It's kind of like this class, you might feel a little overwhelmed because we talked about a lot of shoulds. But I want you to leave with them thinking these are coulds. It's kind of like I've given you all of the ingredients to build a chocolate cake, right? I've told you this is all that goes into making a chocolate cake, but I didn't give you the actual recipe to follow along. I didn't give you the instructions, the step-by-step instructions in order to make that cake. You only were given the ingredients. There just isn't enough time to really dive into each one of these areas specifically. And honestly, each woman has a different process. Each woman's family needs something different. And so there's no cookie cutter answer. But that's what the coaching calls are for. You deserve more than just information that I'm giving you. I want you to be able to take the next step in this journey. And so, like I mentioned earlier, I have set aside 15 slots. And I think I actually have a, here, I'm going to put it up now. This is the link where you can go get a coaching session. If you're like, this has been really good and I want to dive into this more, schedule a 20-minute coaching call with me. I've set aside my calendar to have 15 of these with 15 women who want to take this next step to really figure out, where do I go from here? And here's some of the questions that you might consider talking about on this one-on-one call. How are toxins actually impacting me? We might go through a survey of questions like, are you getting regular migraines? Are you sensitive to smells and fragrances? Do you notice breakouts? Are you currently using plastic or glass? So we'll kind of start at a baseline idea of where are you at now and what's going to be the next easiest steps for you to take. The other thing is, you may be thinking, how do I know if what I'm doing is really making a change? Like the client I talked about earlier, the woman I work with, who stopped using the sunscreen. The only way she knew that it was a change, maybe she was feeling better physically. And that is one thing that we can look at. How are you feeling physically? The other thing is, guys, our body talks to us. Our body is going to tell us whether or not what we're doing is actually making a change, making a difference. And so I'm a huge believer that if we are charting our cycle in a really concrete, good way, we know that each thing we implement is either impacting us positively, or maybe we're just wasting our time and money. And so knowing, is the products I'm putting in, are they actually helping me? Well, what is my cycle saying? What's my body saying? Is the sleep, is that really making a difference? What is my body saying? Is the stress reduction, is that helping? What is my cycle saying to me? So if you are already charting your cycle, then when we get on this one-on-one call, we can dive in a little bit of what is your cycle telling you? If you're like, I just came here to talk about toxins. I don't have any idea what you're talking about with charting my cycle. Like, yeah, I know my first day of my period. I track that on an app, but what? We can talk a little bit more on what does it look like to chart your cycle in such a way that it is a health record for you to be able to read and know, am I feeling good? And what's going on with all of these changes I'm making? Is it really impacting me? So I want you, next steps, go to this link, get a coaching call with me so that we can figure out what are we doing next, so that you know, does this really impact me? Does this really make a difference? And I'm just really excited. It's so hard to talk to you. I'm going to look at the comments, and then I'm going to do some of my show and tell. It's really hard to talk to you guys and not feel like I'm just doing this alone. No one's here. But when we get to actually talk face to face, we can engage a lot deeper. And I love that. So Renata says, thanks for the call. I have to go. Thanks, Renata. I'm so glad you were here. Melissa says, my mantra has become do the next best thing, or easy plus one. Just put one door in front of the other, one foot in front of the other, and keep going. Yes, that has been a huge thing for me too, is what is easy? One step, what is easy? What can I do? How can I make this easy? And that's what this is about. It's not about overwhelming you. It's not about making it too much. It's really figuring out, how can we make this easy? Because guys, guess what? I am not the expert in toxins, and I'm definitely not the expert in you. Only you can read your body in such a way to know if what you're doing is adding to your health. But I can help guide you to get there. I can help to show you how that you can read your own body and really become that expert that you already are. Katie says, a podcast I listen to, they have an episode they talk about stop shooting yourself. Yes, that's exactly right. What about sanitary towels? Oh, I'm so glad you brought this up, Amanda. I'm assuming that sanitary towels is the same as like menstrual pads, and I might be making a mistake here, so correct me if I'm wrong. Menstrual products are a huge one, and I didn't bring any of mine. Getting organic menstrual products can make a huge difference, especially when we're talking about something like a tampon. A tampon crosses those lines from what is on us. So a pad is basically on us, but a tampon goes in us. So it actually kind of hits two areas. They are full of chemicals and yucky stuff. I've had women after women I've worked with, and myself included, when I transitioned from tampons to a menstrual cup, my PMS decreased, my bleeding decreased, my overall cycles, they changed. Even going from organic panty liners to, my kids are like having major breakdowns out the door. I don't know if y'all can hear that. Going from panty liners to reusable cloth pads was a big difference changer for me, especially with hemorrhoids. So hemorrhoids was a huge issue for me. And when I made a switch from using conventional pads, even organic pads, and went to reusable, I was really able to control some of those hemorrhoids. So that was a side note, but Amanda, I think that's what you're meaning. Yes, she said yes. Awesome. That's also in the guide, something that's talked about to change your menstrual products. Okay, So let's do some of that show and tell. I'm excited about it. And y'all might be like, I'm looking for Amanda's comment to take it off. Okay. So I'll leave this one up if you want to get one of the classes or one of the coaching calls with me, the one-on-one coaching calls. I'd love to have you there. But let's just talk a minute about what I have here in front of me. If you have to leave early, come back and watch the replay just on this part. So we talked about deodorant, and a few people said with winter coming, I plan to ditch the deodorant. So here is what I'm using for deodorant options. One is native deodorant, and the other is actually a local beekeeper, a bee farm, honey farm, and they make a lot of natural products. I also actually have a lip balm from them as well. And so that's always an option. You can look at what's available to you locally and support local businesses as well as getting things that are less toxic. This one does have some baking soda, but it's way down the list. Arrowroot is its first type of powder, and that was a huge game changer for me. And then Native doesn't have baking soda in it at all. None of the things I'm showing you, I'm standing behind 100%. They're just things that I personally use. The other thing we didn't talk about that's really kind of big is toothpaste. So when I started on this journey, well, I don't know when I started, but one thing we do now is we use Redmond's toothpaste. Toothpaste is a big one that can have a lot of nasty chemicals in it that you don't want, and you're putting that in your mouth every night. Your kids are putting it in their mouths. The other thing we did was we switched to a more natural toothbrush. So the toothbrush, and I think this was a baby one because we made wrong orders. They're not big. They do make big ones. It's actually made out of bamboo, so you're not interacting with the plastic in your hands and in your mouth. It has a natural bristle. And so my first set of changes were a lot of the products that went on our skin. So that was toothpaste ideas. I'm a huge fan of Dr. Bronner's. Here is just Castile soap that you can use. They also have Dr. Bronner's squirt. The awesome thing about Dr. Bronner's is comes in bottles like this, and you can dilute it down. So this is not diluted. It's like, shampoo that's not diluted, or not shampoo, laundry detergent. And you can use Dr. Bronner's for shaving, for hair rinse, for washing your hands and feet, for mopping the floor. When you start looking at more natural options, a lot of places, they talk about just using vinegar. So I brought a big thing of vinegar because who doesn't want, to see that on the live. Vinegar is awesome. So I have multiple spray bottles around the house that are glass. And I know I'm not a huge DIY, make it yourself, but the vinegar one is so easy. Putting in a little bit of vinegar in water and using that as an all-purpose cleaner has been a game changer. And it works, and it's really good. The only thing, and I just learned this not so long ago, you do not want to mix Dr. Bronner's with vinegar because they counteract each other and they're not going to work as well as they could individually. That's something new to me. So hopefully that helps somebody else too. Just using glass water bottles. I've showed you that a few times. One thing that I really struggled to find was a stain remover. So if you have kids, you know that you're going to get stains on your clothes. For a long time, I just was like, I guess we'll just use these as play clothes or get rid of them because I get way too many stains. But I found this Fit Organic. It's laundry and carpet stain remover. And this actually works better than a lot of other products I found. So the whole point, I think, of this show and tell, and now I can't remember who asked me to show. I'm sorry. The whole point is there are available options for every product that you're looking for. One thing that I did want to bring in to show is once I started leaving plastics behind And this even means that trying to do my best to buy my food not in plastic, um, I started saving the glass jars and reusing them. One, for just food storage, so I didn't have to buy all new glass, but also, well, not also, just for food containers. So here, these were both peanut butter jars, peanut butter, yeah. And now they just hold some of my teas or my herbs. And so doing things like that, so it might cost a little bit more money to get the product in glass, the produce or the food in glass, but you can look at it as I'll be able to repurpose this glass container and keep using it and get rid of some of the plastic. One thing that's really important, I think, and I think the majority of the women who signed up for the course, or the majority of people who follow me are women, is lubricant. So that's not something we talked about today in today's class, but I did want to bring it up that it is really important to get a good quality lubricant. This is Yes brand. Lubricant has a lot of junk in it. And a lot of times it actually has spermicide in it too. And so, Yes is a good option. Pre-Seed is another good lubricant option because, guys, lubricant is going on you and it's going in you. So anything that's going in us, we don't have the barrier of our skin to protect us. And especially in that vaginal area, that's why tampons can be really bad, or lubricants, or if you're choosing to use barrier methods, condoms is another thing to watch out for. What you're using and is going into that vaginal area can really have an impact on your overall health and cycle. I don't know if there's anything else. I use Rebel Green for laundry detergent. I grabbed this. I think it's vinegar probably in this. But I grabbed it because even a lot of, Amanda says Pre-Seed has parabens in it. Thanks, Amanda. I think that that's really important. I'll even put it up. So Amanda says Pre-Seed has parabens in it. So we want to avoid that. The reason that Pre-Seed comes up, and a lot of times when we're talking about fertility and wanting to get pregnant, is that a lot of the lubricants have spermicides. And Pre-Seed is one that does not have spermicide in it, as well as the Yes brand also does not have spermicides, and it does not have, it's free of, I'm just reading to make sure that it is. It is free of any of the toxic things that we want to watch for. Yeah, and then Melissa said, coconut oil is a good lubricant. I actually brought some coconut oil, guys. Yes, and I wanted to mention that with the lubricant section, coconut is a good option. It's also a good option for lip gloss, like putting on your lips. I do that a lot. It's good butt balm if you have a baby and they have a rash. Coconut oil is a good option. If you're struggling with hemorrhoids, if you're postpartum and having some issues with hemorrhoids or whatever, coconut oil is a great option. And so I'm glad you brought that up, Melissa, because I forgot. Amanda says she has two good options for, I think, lubricants. So she's going to bring those. For shampoo, so here is me being completely open and honest with you. I am not at like grade A on all of my stuff. There are definitely better options than what I'm currently using, but I have to consider cost as well. And so we have a big family, and I am currently using this Jason's brand because it has no parabens, sulfates, phthalates, petrolatum, artificial colors. I probably butchered all of that. There's another me being completely open with you. However, I do know there's better options than this. We just can't do that right now. And we're taking small steps and making those changes. And that's why I brought some of the things out that I know they're definitely better options. But I want you to see what it really means to start living a life where you're making small changes one by one. Awesome. Amanda says, I switched gears to the lubricants. Amanda says that the Baby Start, Fertile Safe Plus, and IsoLove Baby Dance are paraben free. That is awesome. I'm going to add those things to my list as well. Okay, guys, I know that there's a few of you left on the live with me. I think a lot of you left. Thank you for sticking around for this little bonus of show and tell at Kava's house. If you haven't got a discovery call scheduled with me, or a coaching call scheduled with me, do that because I want to go deeper with you, and I love talking about this stuff, and I want to hear what your struggles are and see if we can't come up with a plan to figure it out. Amanda says that those are also good for the two options that we put up for lubricants are sperm friendly and good if you're trying to conceive. So this class is going to be available. If you're watching now, you're like, I don't need to know, unless you missed the beginning of it. A replay will be sent out, and it'll be available and up through Wednesday. And once the 15 coaching calls are gone, that's all I could fit into the calendar. So those are gone. So grab your spot so you don't miss that. And reach out to me if you have any questions. Thanks so much, ladies, for being here. And I will see you all soon, I hope. Bye-bye.